Meta-evaluating distance education programs on a national level. Distance education is on the rise, not only in Puerto Rico, where the X is, but it's also around the world. And that's why this study is being conducted. However, initially it did not have a quality concern. This is because Puerto Rico, as a colony of the United States, is regulated by accreditation standards in the U.S., specifically the Regional Commission um, for Higher Education. However, the study did want to try to understand how focused or how broad the model's criteria and methods were being used in Puerto Rico. The research questions were: one, what are the characteristics of successful assessment models, criteria, and methodology that would be appropriate for distance education programs? And the second question is, what are the assessment models, criteria, and methodology that's being used in distance education programs in Puerto Rico? Concerning the literature review about the characteristics of a good assessment model, three works stand out. One is Evaluation in Distance Education e-Learning by Ru and Zumbo. The other is Assessing the Online Learner by Paloff and Pratt. And the third is Evaluating Distance Education, the Student Perspective by Henkel. If we go into the Ru and Zumbo model, they see it that the best evaluations are the comprehensive ones with insight into the process or course implementation, those that study all the effects that are intended and unintended, those that have positive and negative aspects. And third, that study the underlying values that are inherent in the course or program. In the Paloff and Pratt model, interestingly, they use a competency assessment model, which is looking for the alignment between the student profiles, the program competencies, the course outcomes, and unit objectives, meaning that those that have a tighter alignment are better than those that have loose alignments. In the study, in the literature review, the Stuffelbeam and Shinkfield uh, text was incredibly important. Their book, Evaluation Theory, Models, and Applications, clarified that the study being conducted was a meta-evaluation, and they suggested the use of the Joint Committee on Standards for Educational Evaluation as the criteria to carry out the evaluation. In terms of the standards by the Joint Commission, what was used in the study was the third edition, published in 2011. These standards were developed by 17 organizations dedicated to program evaluations. And it's comprised of 30 standards organized in 5 key areas or attributes of evaluation quality. These 5 attributes are utility, feasibility, propriety, accuracy, and accountability. These standards have what are called functional tables. They guide the use of the standard. 30 standards was understood to be very, very cumbersome, very complex. And I used 2 of the functional tables that they suggested, the describing the program table and the managing the evaluation table. By using these 2 functional tables, I used 21 of the 30 standards of the Joint Commission standards. How did the study begin? It began with a panel of experts. 3 experts were asked to list 5 of the best distance education programs in Puerto Rico. These experts were unanimous in selecting 3, and 2 others were selected by majority. In terms of the data gathering, the program evaluator was interviewed using a checklist, and the supervisor who receives the report was interviewed using a 10-question protocol. This is an example of the checklist organized into the 5 attributes, and the different standards according to the functional tables were used to carry out the checklist interview. In the interview, um, there were 10 questions. Of 5 are being presented here. Why do you evaluate? How do you evaluate? Who provides your data? What instruments do you use? And how are evaluation results reported? In terms of the results of the study concerning the models and criteria, 1 in 5 of the institutions had a declared and written evaluation model, and 1 in 5 had declared and written criteria concerning the data gathering. In terms of the results concerning methods, the literature mentions the ability to gather minimum data, partial data, and complete data. And the reality is in Puerto Rico, I found institutions that were either minimally collecting data or partially collecting data. And this provided the reality of having minimum analysis or partial analysis. None was carrying out a complete analysis of what was going on in their programs. To understand the 3 models that were studied, the first model is one where no one is in charge of the evaluation. That is provided by other academic institutes, units outside of the distance education program, and data is mainly collected on student satisfaction. That way, when quality is searched, there's a big question mark in terms of what is really going on. The second model, the first variant of the second model, has a person in charge of evaluation, but is not exclusively dedicated to this function. Quantitative data is collected, and occasionally a research question arises when a problem arises. The second variant of the second model, again, a person is in charge of the evaluation, again, not exclusive, but not only quantitative but also qualitative data is collected. And again, there's an occasional research question when a problem arises. In this case, concerning quality, the question mark is less, but nonetheless, there still is a big question mark. The third model, which is found in literature but not found in the reality of the programs in Puerto Rico, there's a person exclusively dedicated to evaluation. Quantitative and qualitative data is collected, and there are constant research questions to understand the dynamics involved in the program. Naturally, quality in this case has a very small question mark because you'd have a good idea of what is going on. To summarize, in terms of quality evaluation, standards are needed. But besides that, systematic data gathering and analysis is needed to understand exactly what is going on in the programs. Thank you.